Moving on to another very important development we are tracking for you. Tonight, in fact, all eyes are on Washington, D.C., where Commerce and Industries Minister Piyush Goyal lands to pick up threads of India-U.S. trade talks. These are likely going to be the most tense trade negotiations given the frost the talks are coming out of. There's still a lot of ground to cover on tariffs, trade, agriculture. Here's what you can expect from the India-U.S. Washington Roundtable that begins tomorrow.
We've made a lot of progress, and as you know, we put a 50% tariff on India on oil. They're the second largest. They're very close to China in terms of the purchase of oil from Russia. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister, he's great.
दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी आबादी वाले देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनना ही होगा.
Washington, D.C. is bracing for a high-stakes huddle. Union Commerce and Industries Minister Piyush Goyal is flying into the United States. The visit comes at a time when trade tensions are running high, tempers are flaring, and the stakes could not be any bigger. This is not just another round of bureaucratic meetings. This is about India standing up to protect its biggest export strength, its people, its tech talent, its services economy. A $100,000 annual fee slapped on H-1B visas, a shock executive order. Thousands of jobs, billions in revenue, and the future of India's global workforce mobility are suddenly at stake. For New Delhi, the message is clear. These talks are about more than tariffs. They're about trust and ties.
U.S. discussions with the assistant USTR happened 2 days back. They were productive and are working on the right track. The U.S. relationship is a very strong, comprehensive, strategic partnership between two friendly countries.
And as Piyush Goyal lands in Washington, the question is blunt. Will America listen? Or will India be forced to push back with countermeasures? Beyond the rhetoric, what's on the table is one of the most critical trade discussions in years. The ministerial level talks scheduled for September 22nd bring together senior officials from both sides in a bid to break the logjam and push forward the long-pending India-U.S. trade agreement. India and the U.S. are already bound by a deep economic partnership. Bilateral trade touched $200 billion in 2024 to 2025, making Washington New Delhi's largest trading partner. Yet, beneath the impressive numbers lie long-standing disputes over tariffs, digital trade, agriculture, and intellectual property.
The Indian side stuck to its red lines. So the red lines, as you know, are greater American access to Indian agriculture, dairying, and our products which we do not want. That means the things like soya, corn, etc. So the mutated, the ones which use the mutated seeds, GMOs as we call them.
The upcoming meeting is expected to cover exactly those flashpoints. Market access for goods and services, rules governing digital trade, stronger protections for intellectual property, and most importantly, tariff barriers on agricultural products. Each of these has stalled negotiations in the past. Each of these will test the political will of both sides. The timing could not be more significant. Just days ago, Brandon Lynch, the Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for South and Central Asia, was in New Delhi. His talks with India's chief trade negotiator, Rajesh Agarwal, restarted a process that had been stalled since late August. Lynch's expertise in agriculture and manufacturing was critical in preparing the ground, but no breakthrough was achieved. And while the tariffs and trade rules dominate headlines, the H-1B visa fee hike will remain the elephant in the room.
The country would rather not have to pay $100,000, but they'd rather, how do you do that? You hire Americans. So there's an incentive to hire American. But there may be instances where it's better off doing through expertise or whatever it may be. But they're both unbelievable, whether it's a gold card or anything else that we talked about today.
India has already conveyed its opposition, but whether Washington is willing to discuss or reconsider the measure remains uncertain. There is also talk of a mini trade deal, a limited package that could see tariff rollbacks on selected goods, incremental access for American farm products, and concessions for India in services. It would not resolve every dispute, but it would send a political signal that both sides are moving forward. Even as all eyes are on the trade negotiations, one questions what really changed between last month and now. Former Commerce Secretary Ajay Dua tells you about that X factor.
The fact that Mr. Trump realized that Russia cannot be browbeaten into negotiating with Ukraine is one. And second, also the fact that at the SCO meeting in China, which was attended by Prime Minister Modi, he found that India is not isolated and that India can trump up the support from Russia as well as China.
PM Modi's quiet diplomacy at the recent SCO summit may have created the right environment for this thaw. And economist Ved Jain also believes that to be a defining moment in the bilateral stare-down in which Trump eventually blinked first.
India as a sovereign country, India's leadership, the Prime Minister will like to take a step which is best suited. And that's why I believe there was a, I think, high-profile meeting in the China, and then meeting with the Russian President Putin, China's Xi, and then all those meetings taking place, all those discussions going on, and then the pressure on the America that yes, why are you bullying India? Now, India is not that small country. You can do whatever you want to think about it. India has got other partners, and other countries are equally willing to move forward in India and work together with India.
His outreach to global leaders, including signaling cooperation with Washington, paved the way for Goyal's visit to carry real weight. So what can be expected in Washington? First, sharper conversations on tariffs in steel, aluminium, and agriculture. Second, frameworks for digital trade and cross-border data flows. Third, a possible roadmap on intellectual property protections. Fourth, and most politically sensitive, whether Trump's visa order finds space in the agenda. September 22nd could well decide whether India and the US inch closer to a new era of economic trust or whether old disputes and new executive orders derail the story once again. The world's eyes will be on Washington, and Piyush Goyal's delegation carries not just files and talking points, but the weight of India's economic ambitions and the hope that America is finally ready to listen.